Brightest blessings, everyone. Yeah, sorry about the camera. I'm doing a video response to Rainbow Pagan 2, and he poses the question, can you have more than one familiar? Okay, let me get a little something out of the way first. I don't know if other people view it this way or not. Personally, my definition of familiar, I think you might be switching it with totem, because there is a familiar and there is a totem animal that you may have. A totem is an animal that you have a connection with, that you walk with. Just because you like it doesn't necessarily mean that you walk with that animal or that it's your totem. However, most people tend to have one, possibly two totems, really not that many. And there are some that have quite a few totems. I personally was having some difficulty trying to find my totem, because every time I went into a meditation to find and meet exactly who and what my totem was, I came up with almost a different animal almost every single time. And it was really frustrating, you know. You never really know. Some animals I came up with, I kind of like. I don't really necessarily have an affection for them. Others I did. But I actually went to two different psychics I find very credible, and I asked them why I was having difficulty finding my totem, because I usually don't have difficulty in meditations. That's not a weak point of mine. Everybody has their strong and weak points, and I'm quite prevalent in. I can work meditations quite well, and this was very surprising for me and very frustrating. And both of these people, who knew nothing of each other, knew nothing of what the other had actually said the same thing. And that is, well, the reason why you're meeting so many different animals as your possible totem is because basically you're a walking zoo. You walk with many animals. As a matter of fact, if you make a list of the animals that you don't walk with, that could possibly be a much shorter list than the animals that you do walk with. So, yeah. For example, alright, one of my totems, one of my many totems, is bear. Okay? Do I have a special love or an affection for bear? Not necessarily. They're cool, they're fine, but I work with bear energy depending on what I'm trying to do. I'm able to work a lot of bear energy into my magic. And a lot of times bear energy, gets me out of difficult situations that I'm trying to get out of. It's a matter of being able to work with these types of energies, work with these animals as needed. When you say cat energy, is it a house cat? Is it a big jungle cat? If it is, what kind of cat? Is it a tiger, lion, leopard, cheetah, panther? Because they all represent different types of things. Canine energy, is it a house dog? Is it a wolf? Is it a coyote? They all mean different things. Now, what I think you're trying to describe, as far as a familiar goes, is literally a familiar is an animal that you would actually have in your possession. For example, if I were to have a familiar right now, it would have to be a cat. And the reason why is because that's all I have around me. A familiar to me is a cat that I happen to have, that I use in helping me work magical workings. A lot of times it's the only animal that you have that walks in a circle with you. Other animals will try to stay away. You know what I mean? Um, Basically, they help you work your magic. Um, if you have an animal that you feel is, like I have an animal right now that I feel is completely and totally capable of being a familiar and a damn good one, but she just could care less. So she would not make a good candidate to be a familiar. So yeah, it's kind of not only on you but the animal as well. Now, as far as having, can you have more than one totem? I think I'm living proof that you can. You can have a zoo. The thing is a lot of people, most people, it's not uncommon for them to have one totem or two totems. Um, yes, you may have canine totems. Yes, you may have feline totems, dogs and cats. The thing is that this is something within their energy that works within you. That even though they may clash in nature, lion, lamb, cat, dog, rabbit, um, they don't clash. They don't clash in you. The energies do not clash in you. Well, at least not with me. They don't. You see what I'm saying? I mean, with every natural predator prey in the wild, you don't have to worry about it being a natural predator and prey. Because in all reality, in the wild, you know, yes, dogs have been known to nurse kittens and bring them up as their own, and vice versa. And, you bring a dog up, you raise a puppy and a kitten together, and they're thick as thieves. They're tighter than, you know, they get really tight. Okay? They would do anything to protect each other. It's almost like they were like brother and sister. You know, dogs and rabbits are not supposed to get along. As a matter of fact, so much so, that's what they have the dogs chasing in dog races, is an electronic rabbit. Um, I've had my dogs get along just fine with rabbits. So, you know, it's all on, you know, where you're raised and how they're raised and all that stuff. So, yeah. Um, don't worry about, yes, you can have multiple ones. Don't worry about them generally being natural enemies. It's usually not going to be a problem. Can you have an actual familiar, as in I described, more than one? I'm guessing you could. I really haven't heard of anybody that I know of that actually has a familiar that they actually have more than one, but I'm guessing that you could. Um, yeah. So I personally have never had more than one familiar at a time. That is an animal that I personally work with in my magic, you know, that happens to be a pet of mine. When I find that animal that happens to be a familiar, I will do a ceremony and putting them as my familiar officially. But I've never had more than one. I don't think I've ever seen anyone have more than one, but I don't see why you can't have more than one. If anybody thinks that I'm basically just talking out of my ass, just let me know. I just might be. Okay, that's all for now. I've almost reached my 10 minutes, and blessed be, Jesse.